Order, banking finance meeting to order. I'd like, before we get started, to recognize on everybody to turn your attention to my left over here. We have a new member who finally showed up for a meeting, Mr. Stephen McNeil here. So we are so glad to have him here today. He was a treat yesterday in the well on his first bill. We were very, very, very gentle on him. He went through it so smooth. I mean, he was just a consummate person. So he did a real good job yesterday, Senator.
Thank you, Chairman.
He did a really good job.
Animals.
He,
All creatures great and small.
all creatures great and small. Yeah, great first bill to start on.
Compassionate
Great first
trial
bill.
lawyer.
Absolutely. All right, let's get this party going here. Representative Camp, you want to come to the front? Or you want to go to the podium? Do it right there on number 2. Then come on and tell us what you got here. Oh, and what are we working off of, just to make sure we're all on the same sheet here?
Sure. We are looking at LC 620306S, and this is House Bill 948.
All right, floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so someone in my district brought me a challenge. They were foreclosed on a couple of years ago, and they found out later on that there was excess funds. They did not understand how to access those funds. There are some predatory companies that do exist, from what I understand, that can help, but they take a large portion of those excess funds. This individual asked that we create a law that would let people know when they're getting foreclosed, going through the paperwork, exactly how to get those funds back. And I work with a number of organizations, Georgia Banking Association. I work with McCullough Raymer, who does a lot of foreclosures. And we came up with some language that you'll find in this bill. And pretty much it just lets individuals know what they need to do to access those funds. And that's pretty much the whole bill.
Are we changing anything in regards to any codes, or everything staying the same on the code sections?
Well, it says here, the notice shall be in the following language, and
Right.
that would be in the code section, lines 24 through 27. Surplus funds may be considered abandoned property and may be escheated to the state of Georgia if you do not claim the funds. And
Just to make sure that we're on the same thinking here, this applies to a bankruptcy, 7, 13, 11, et cetera, or is there any kind of designation difference?
no, this is not bankruptcy. This is a foreclosure.
Foreclosure,
And we're
complete
not,
foreclosure.
in the state of Georgia is a non-judicial foreclosure state,
Gotcha.
so
Well,
you just have to
sometimes they'll
send
declare
notice.
bankruptcy and a foreclosure is what I was getting at.
And that will stop a foreclosure at times,
yeah.
most definitely.
Right.
I do have the Georgia Association of Realtors here. They also were kind enough to look over this, and they might want to say something regarding this as well, if you're interested.
I don't think, we got Jeff's here, yeah, Jeff Ledford with the realtor. Jeff, you want to take the podium for a minute? Sit here, Ms. Beth, sit
Okay,
there.
thank you.
Sure, do you want me here or?
It don't matter,
Okay,
where you want to be, sit that right there. I might change over one's fine.
Proud to sit next to one of our members.
Pull one over there to you. Now, we don't know you, tell us who you are.
Hi, Jeff Ledford, and I'm with the Georgia Realtors. We are supportive of this bill. Anytime you have clarity and openness and transparency, unfortunately, sometimes there are times where someone may lose their home, but at least they get to realize the equity that they may have gained. So, I'm
Absolutely.
supportive.
Thank you.
Representative Camp, thank you for bringing this bill. Any members have questions on this bill? What number are you on there, Bob?
Number 10, Mr. Chairman.
You're recognized for a question, Senator Jones.
Thank you. And Representative, thank you for bringing this bill, which I think all of us in here should support. But I'm looking on, and please correct me if the language has changed, by the way, over on line 24 on page 2. And it says surplus funds may be considered. Is there a reason why there's a may in there instead of a shall?
Well, over a period of time, if they're not accessed by the homeowner, then the person holding the funds will transfer them to the state of Georgia as abandoned unclaimed property. And so the mechanism on how to get them back from that situation is also prescribed in this code section. There is a methodology to get it back in case perhaps someone got foreclosed on, like the woman who I mentioned, and this would give her knowledge on how to access the funds if those excess funds had been sent to the state of Georgia Department of Revenue as unclaimed property.
And one follow-up, Mr. Chairman, but
Go
is
ahead,
there,
sure.
may kind of implies to me that the funds don't have to be abandoned. They could be considered, I don't know, somewhere else or some other form of property.
Well, they have to be held for a period of time by the trust account where the funds are, where the foreclosure took place and the sale took place. So they have to hold them for a period of time. Going back to line 17, this might be a little bit more descriptive, and it's underlined, notice of the mortgager's right to initiate a claim for any surplus funds after the foreclosure sale pursuant to Code Section 44-14-190, and instructions on how to make the initial claim for surplus funds due to them. And then the notice will also include how they would access the funds in that time period. Right now, it says on lines 46, currently unclaimed funds is 5 years, but it's subject to change, and it could be revised in that code section 44-12-193. So this measure hopefully will survive any changes to that code section in the future to make sure that if someone is foreclosed and there are excess funds that are available after the foreclosure and all the fees and all that stuff's paid, that the individual could access the funds. And it says surplus funds may be considered abandoned property. Not necessarily. It's possible that a trust account could hold those funds longer than the prescribed time, knowing that someone is coming after them. If you said shall be, then that would charge all the funds to go immediately into the unclaimed funds with the Department of Revenue, is my understanding.
So this does make it easier for the homeowner to reclaim his funds.
That is my understanding, and that is my
Goal.
desire, yes.
That's your goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Oh,
Thank you for bringing this fine bill and having realtors on board. The real issue is when you first start foreclosing, they'll give them that notice, and it'll run 4 weeks or whatever, however many weeks. And in that first notice, or would it be 4 times that how does that work with respect to giving them notice?
Well, it's saying here that, let's see, it initiates back on line 11, notice of initiation of proceeding to exercise power of sale or foreclosure. And so my understanding is it will be in all documents, repeated multiple times, that this is how you access excess funds. I will tell you, I was a realtor back during the Great Recession, and nobody had excess funds. Everyone was underwater that got foreclosed upon, and there were many, many short sales that took place. We're in a different spot now, so this, in my opinion, is probably very necessary, but it should be on all the documentation that goes out to the person being foreclosed.
This might get me in trouble, but let me ask, is there a way to say if you have equity, I'm thinking out loud, it might get me in trouble. If you believe because the average person being foreclosed on, when they read this, it won't mean anything, I don't think. I think it's a good purpose. I've actually handled some of this, getting some of the money back for people, but I'm wondering what the realtors and the real estate is, what do y'all think about? I'm just gonna say, if there was some bold language, and I'm not trying to give you an amendment, but I'm trying to think of one. If you believe you have equity, be aware you may have surplus funds after the foreclosure. That's the essence of it, and that might be too much. It might get somebody in trouble, but if you believe you have equity, after the surplus, after the foreclosure, you may have surplus funds to be claimed.
doesn't that have to be reported? And that already on the statement, Jeff, usually on a foreclosure?
I don't
That would be a question for our folks in the lending industry.
I don't know if we have anybody from McCullough Raymond here with us today or not.
I don't think it's in, I've never seen that language, that's what only reason. It's kind of a big secret in Georgia. In other states, it's a real big thing. I mean, in some states, there are companies that that contact the county where the monies are, wherever, and see how much excess funds there are. and they'll then contact the former owner, and say, hey, you got some money that they didn't know about, and we'll get it for you for X percentage. And that's generally how, because most people don't know, they'll never know.
Well, after this meeting, everybody's gonna be calling that number anyway to find out if they got money sitting around, so.
Yeah, because when you look at this, you gotta look at the code section, and at least it does say surplus funds may be available. But I'm just wondering, that may be after the meeting. I just wanna throw that out, because the average I once did foreclosure years ago, and I had to get out of that business, though. But, if you believe you have surplus equity, or some language that says to put them on notice, to look for the money, because they won't be looking for the money. Because most people are in distress, they lost their job, they're sick, something happened, and they're not even reading the mail. But if we do the best we can, I think it's a fine legislation. Appreciate it.
Senator Hodges?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a good bill. I appreciate it. I really do. Let me make sure that we understand the way these things work, I think, is that if I'm foreclosing on your house and you owe $50,000 and somebody shows up at the courthouse steps and buys your house for $100, then I get my 50, and that other 50 is yours.
After fees, yes.
After fees,
After
okay.
legal
All right,
fees and all
net
that
is
stuff,
yours.
yes.
But if I foreclose on your house and I, as a bank, go and I buy the house, the bank buys the house, then you're not going to get any excess,
That's correct, because there are no excess funds at the sale.
because I'm basically buying the house as full payment of the loan.
Correct.
So just wanted you to make sure that that's the case, because it's not very often that there's excess funds. I mean, it happens occasionally, but
Yeah, not very often.
but it's not very often.
There are competitive areas where individuals are on the steps of the courthouse every month in very
Yeah.
competitive
Yeah,
areas.
yeah.
In the metro area, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
well.
competitive, but I know for the most part.
But they're
the
not going
banks-
to pay. I mean, they're there for a bargain.
Yes,
So,
yes, but the banks typically are the ones who are buying the properties back. This is in the chance that it's sold on the courthouse steps and there are excess funds, which is what happened in the situation of the constituent who brought me
and
this.
it's a very good bill. You should have noticed that there might be, and then whoever gets the funds or is holding the excess funds should hold them in trust, and you should be able to get to them easily, and this helps people do that. So I appreciate the bill.
Thank you.
Chairman Harbin?
Yes, thank you. Good bill. Question is this: when this moves to the surplus, or to the unclaimed area, is there a notice sent then as well? There's one that's at the foreclosure, but when this goes to unclaimed property, I don't know if I were getting that notice, the bells would go off. But is there any notice that it moves from, I'm assuming this is in a trustee position or a legal situation, acting as a trustee, going into unclaimed property? Is there any notification on that?
Well, that's one of the challenges. When a person is foreclosed, my address is XYZ Smith Street, and I'm foreclosed upon, I no longer live at
That's right.
XYZ
Right.
Smith Street. So it's impossible oftentimes to send mail to an individual and let them know that this is the case. I don't know if any of you have ever been, but the Georgia Department of Revenue has a very robust unclaimed funds website. You can put your name in, and you'll see everyone who possibly could ever have been you on that list. And if you match up Social Security-wise, I think that's how the funds are released. You submit a claim form to them online. So I would suggest to anyone, I mean, it could be for a lot of different things. Actually, I found money there before owed to me from a cell phone account that I closed out before the month ended and didn't realize I was owed money back.
Wow.
So honestly, that's probably the best way. We probably need to be a lot better at advertising that funds are sitting there at the Georgia Department of Revenue. I feel like they're pretty safe there, for sure. And that's a good clearinghouse to make sure the funds get to where they need to go. But as far as notification, we generally don't send notifications on legal issues via email or telephone. I wouldn't trust someone that called me and told me I had unclaimed funds anyway. So probably the system we have right now probably is the safest for
Okay.
fraud issues.
Very good.
Pleasure of the committee.
I move fast.
Have a do pass? Have a second? All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Chairman, who's carrying your bill?
I have not asked anyone yet. Is there
Okay.
anyone on the committee that would like to carry it? Anyone that you would like to recommend to carry it?
Representative, Senator Stephen, what are you thinking?
It'd be your second bill. How about that?
He's an esteemed attorney from
third at
the
least.
Macon, Georgia, Middle Georgia area. I
That's
think
right.
it'd be perfect for him.
He's in a neighboring district.
Foreclosure, I was involved, it was underwater.
Yeah.
You don't mind carrying it? That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
That's
much.
great.
and
Thank you for bringing it,
Mr.
Chairman. That was a very good bill.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Representative Hong, number 2, dear. Come on and sit down. Unless you want to go to the podium, you better sit down.
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay.
sit here. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I have HB 1024, which is LC 620410S. This bill deals with homestead exemptions in a bankruptcy case. Bankruptcy law is governed by federal law, but some states, including Georgia, have our own exemptions, meaning the amount of assets that you can keep after filing for bankruptcy. In Georgia, the homestead exemption, so the amount of equity that you can keep in your home after filing bankruptcy, currently is at $21,500 for single-titled homes and $43,000 for a jointly titled homes. This bill will increase that exemption to $50,000 for individual and $100,000 for joint. I've provided a little sheet that goes through all of the homestead exemptions by different states. And as you see, Georgia is more towards the bottom as far as our exemptions, and it has not been updated for approximately over 11 years. So for that, we also added in this bill a index, and so that people don't forget about this for over a decade, and or that we don't have to come back every year to look at what the exemptions should be. And so that index will go through the inflation rate to determine what that exemption should be, and that mirrors what the federal asset exemption under bankruptcy does as well. I'll take any questions.
Interesting. Questions from the committee?
Thank you. Great bill. It's very interesting. When you look at Florida especially, and you see the number of people who moved to Florida to protect assets, and that's really what that's about because of that. I think it's reasonable, and I think a lot of single-family houses need that increase, and we see a lot of single-family moms, things of that nature. I think the increase makes good, excellent in that respect. I think as we look at us, we're down towards the bottom.
Right.
And these people are already struggling, and
Right.
it makes sense to.
Is there a
to do-
question in that comment there?
My question is this: where'd you come up with such a good bill? Thank
There
you.
you go.
I've been practicing bankruptcy laws. One of my practices is bankruptcy law. I've been doing it for about 18 years now.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic.
awesome.
Thank you.
Well done.
Very good bill.
When was the last time that was updated?
About over 11 years ago.
11, wow.
Yeah.
11 years. Wow. And with the price of houses rising.
Quick question.
All right, go ahead, Senator Hodges.
Representative Hung, this is a great bill. Just one question about your chart. Would this be for both spouses or for one person?
This is for individuals, so single
Individual.
titled homes, correct.
Some-
So you
some-
times it by 2 if it's a joint titled.
And some states do and some states don't, or do most states do? If a couple lives in the house, do they?
That's correct. If
Okay.
two people live, if a couple lives in the house, it would be times 2 the amount.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, so that's,
This is for, correct, single
Yes.
titled homes.
gotcha.
Florida is unlimited. How does that work? Why do so many people go to Florida and exempt is it just whatever the value of the equity is, you just can't take that home? Or
It's
what is it- what is
also
it
by
for?
a certain acreage as well, but again, this is for people who file bankruptcy, and I cannot tell you why people move to Florida and file bankruptcy and keep their homes. Because I don't live in Florida and I haven't practiced in Florida, but you can see Florida, Texas is also unlimited. I mean, you see about 6 states that are unlimited here as far as the bankruptcy exemptions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good question.
We need to attract some people to Georgia.
That's a good question. It really is. Interesting. We'll find out what the answer might be on that right there. Pleasure of the committee. Have a do pass. Senator Hodges? Senator Mangum? Anybody, any more discussion on this bill? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Pass unanimous. Who do you
Thank
want to
you.
carry your bill?
I briefly talked to Vice Chair Clint Dixon about it, but
Excellent choice.
if there's, okay, I'll talk
I'm
to
sure
him.
he'll
He's-
just jump right in. He's got nothing else to do.
Okay.
He's-
Unless there's a member of the committee that would be interested in carrying it.
Well, now, you're
so
welcome to, here they are.
I will. Maybe I'll reach out to some of y'all. Okay. All right. Okay.
No problems. I think it's a great, I think it's a great move.
It's
Thank
good,
you.
it's a good bill.
Okay, I'll reach out to you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing the bill. Okay, let me get back to my thing. Representative New, how are you?
I'm well. May I have Richard Grovestone?
Absolutely.
join
Anything
me
you
here?
want,
He's
Cameron,
with the
anything you
Georgia-
want.
He's, oh, thank you. Well, then we've passed this bill and I can go.
Well, you didn't bring lunch with you, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know, you got to work on that.
I will, yes, sir, I will next time,
That's
for
right.
sure. This
Please,
is-
tell us who you are.
This is Richard Grovestner. He's with the Georgia Association of Licensed Repossessors in Georgia. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys about HB 1134. We're working with LC 394878. This bill updates Georgia code to industry standards for repossessors of motor vehicles. It updates the rules of notification for reclaiming personal property taken during a vehicle repossession, making it consistent with neighboring states and laws, and it clarifies and provides guidelines for the completion of a vehicle repossession. This bill lowers the storage period for personal property left in a vehicle from a repo, and it's just personal property, from 70 days to 30 days, which aligns with industry standards, streamlining operations while allowing sufficient time for debtor redemption of this personal property. By reducing unpaid storage time from 70 to 30 days, there's no need for a second notice, because now currently we have a second notice that is required with the 70 days, so this would just be 30 days, one notice. This will provide consistency with neighboring state laws. I've handed out a comparison page to see how we compare with our sister states around us. Also, the second thing this bill does is to provide guidelines for determining the completion of a repossession of a motor vehicle, and it will be when the vehicle is attached to a tow truck, the agent has entered the vehicle, or the vehicle is moved from its original location. This will update code, provide clarity, and bring Georgia in line with current industry practices, and that is the bill.
Make sure, just cut, for clarity's sakes, what we're saying here is anything left in a vehicle
Yes, sir.
after 30 days, the tow truck company or whoever repossessed the vehicle or picked up the vehicle can dispose of that property.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Of what was inside,
What was inside the,
what
yes.
was inside that?
Yeah, only 30%, is that correct? 30% actually redeem that property because they know they're out for repossession, so they normally do not redeem it.
Are the tow, and I'm gonna get ahead, are the tow truck drivers or the repossessors, are they allowed to go into the vehicle at any time and search the vehicle? Is that, I mean, they're allowed to do that immediately?
Oh, we do it immediately, yes, sir.
State who you are,
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry, Richard Grosvenor.
Okay.
And, yes, sir, we remove all the contents immediately once the vehicle's secured back on our facility. And we do a detailed inventory, upload the pictures and so forth, and then send a letter within the first 10 days of the repossession, certified as Georgia law, to the consumer.
Well, I'm on your side, and I think it's a good bill. My question is to you, are you doing it by snail mail, or how are you getting to the people? Because I know 30 days sometimes with a mail is.
Right, it's clear, it's certified mail.
certified mail.
certified mail.
Which is already the law.
It's law,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Law.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So instead of, so just one notice instead of two, basically you can do your thing.
Correct.
Question from the committee?
I'm just curious. What's the trend as far as repossession over the last, say, 3 or 4 or 5 years? What have we seen? I know during COVID, we had some issues that were going on as far as that. Is that trend changing, increasing? You have any numbers on that or have any idea?
So, you want to
Yeah,
answer
oh,
this?
yeah, I'd be glad to.
You-
Yes.
yeah.
It's obviously with the state of the economy today, the repossessions are going up. It's just where we're at, But I can tell you, they raised a good question at the last meeting about how the financial institutions are repossessing cars today. And the history I've been doing it 32 years. So in the history of 32 years, typically it was 90 days delinquency. They wanted to repossess the car. Today, it's 120 plus days. These lenders are doing everything they can to work with the consumer, not to repossess the vehicle. And then even going so far as to, technology's changed as well as everything else. So the communication, they're emailing, text messaging, along with sending out snail mail to saying, hey, your vehicle's delinquent, we have intentions on repossessing it. So the awareness is huge. That's why there's not as much property as what used to be. They have the awareness that we're coming, we've been alerted. And then therefore, but the 70 days is just not simply aligned with all the other states in the South. It's usually typically 30 or less.
Could I follow-up question, sir?
Go ahead, sir.
Quoting with the technology, I was very interested in this. The ability to turn a car off remotely, is that happening in your industry at all? Just curious.
I'll take that.
Okay.
So I'm a used car dealer.
Okay.
And I finance vehicles, and we do use GPS as part of our tools to be able to finance folks that we might not normally be able to finance. So we are capable of using that tool. I personally do not believe in that tool because that is not what it's here for. So to answer your question, no, I do not use it, and no, I do not recommend it.
Right. Okay. I was just wondering
Yeah.
what we have technology-wise.
But we do have the technology. We have the technology with the GPS on the vehicles. You have the technology to actually put like a geo
Right.
fence around
Geofence
them.
around it,
So
right.
if they were to leave that location, if they were credit challenged person and you needed to make sure that they weren't going too far with your vehicle, you could actually put like a geo fence around them and get a little alert saying, or once it's been a certain amount of days that it's past due, you also get an alert of where that car has been.
But that vehicle has to be stationary before anybody that might believe in what you're talking about will turn it off.
Correct.
Yeah.
It would never turn off.
Right.
It doesn't have the capability to turn off when the vehicle is in motion.
In motion as far as
Yes,
that.
sir.
Okay. But, and I mean, you serve a great market that we don't realize. People have to have transportation to work, and sometimes you're the key to keep them moving as far as that portion. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good bill. Any more questions? Where are you at, number 8, 9, 10? Senator Manuel, go ahead.
Thank you, Representative, for bringing this bill. I just have a question here, looking at, on the back of the page on line 29. It defines a lawful repossession as being completed when the vehicle is basically attached to a tow truck or some kind of carrier loads it up.
Yes, sir.
What do you do, how does that work when the incorrect vehicle is repossessed?
Well,
It's a great question.
No, it's a great question, and that should never happen, because unless all 17
It does
characters.
happen. So I know it should never
Oh,
happen, but
yes,
it does. Would that
we check-
unlawful repossession then be considered lawful under this language?
Yeah, I can't speak on that because we check the VIN on the dash. I don't understand, all 17 characters must match perfectly.
I understand people modify VIN numbers and everything else on
Yeah.
vehicles. They're very clever with these cars nowadays.
So are you asking if they've modified the VIN number?
Well, they're already
mistakes-
a criminal if they modified the VIN number, so.
No, I'm just asking if mistakes are made. I don't see a recourse in here. Someone car, I mean, you're sitting out a tow driver and they may mistakenly repossess the wrong blue Ford as an example, that's
Yeah.
sitting right next to it. How does that person, what kind of recourse that person have in the event it does happen?
I would assume then, gosh, that's a great question, because I just don't get in those situations because we repossess the right vehicles.
I
mean,
I
it's
would
just-
believe that the full force of the law would be behind them, and they could take lawful action against the people that have repossessed the vehicle, because they would have gotten the VIN number from someone. And so that the VIN number is registered to that specific vehicle, there is a problem somewhere. So law enforcement would have to intervene, and then that would be a legal question for them. Yes, sir.
Because, there really is a cottage industry to change VIN numbers on cars once vehicles are, stolen or something like that.
Are those called
And it
chop
does happen
chop
more than
shops
you
or something like
think.
that?
Oh, yeah, they do it all the
Yeah.
time. It does happen more than you think.
yeah.
So in the event,
Criminal.
I don't want good people to be caught up in language. that
Sure. I
they
will tell
say,
you, I've been in the car
You don't have the rights to
business.
the car anymore
I'm
just
sorry.
because we put a hook on it.
Yes, sir.
Is anybody out in the audience that had their car repossessed want to speak to this bill? Just checking, make sure.
That is quite a unique question, because I've been in the car business for 30-plus years.
35 myself.
Oh, cool. I've
Ford
never had
dealer.
that. Then you would know more than I have. Has this happened with you? Because
It
I've
has
not
happened
had
to
this
people that I
happen
know,
in my
yes.
business.
It's happened to clients and
Really?
customers.
I would love to talk to you online more about this, because this is interesting.
I-
I've never heard
I
of
would
it happening.
just like to state that if they've changed or altered the VIN number from the original VIN number, then obviously we wouldn't take possession because it doesn't match.
Yeah, fair enough.
One follow-up, Mr.
Sure, go
Chairman.
ahead.
My concern is really the language that says the lawful repossession is completed just because the vehicle's been hooked up to a tow truck. That's my concern, because it doesn't say that that it has to be the correct VIN and all that other good stuff on here in this language on line 29. Are you creating a situation where good people could be trapped trying to fight for their car, but they have no right to it because it's now been deemed legally repossessed just because it was hooked up to the back of a tow truck?
I mean, that, you're making a valid point, and I understand what you're asking, but I think the interpretation that I'm understanding of what you're asking is, if somebody does something unlawful and illegal and alters the vehicle, and we take possession, then that's like Ms. New said, that's when the police would intervene and get involved. We're there to abide by all laws, and the
Well,
vehicle.
that could be the case, or you could have an unscrupulous tow truck driver as well.
Oh, yes.
I mean, those kind of situations occur a lot.
100%. And I
It sounds
work
like
with
you're
many.
giving this tow truck driver a lot of authority just because they can hook a car up to their truck and is now considered lawfully repossessed.
I just don't totally agree, but, I mean, you can only do things if you're abiding by the law, you're a law-abiding citizen. If somebody's acting outside the law, then that's up to the law enforcement, not the repossessor. And we're coming to you from the repossessor standpoint, that we're acting lawfully and by the law, and we just want clarity to do things the right way by the law.
If you had an unscrupulous tow truck driver, going back to what Representative New said, that'd be a law enforcement issue that you would just basically you'd call them and
Yes.
start the process.
If you break the peace, then law enforcement's called, and so that would be considered breaking the peace, and, yes, sir.
This is good for the good operators.
Yes.
What I'm trying to bring attention to is those that are not good operators like yourself and others, where potentially this could be used by the bad operators out there as a way of really absconding with vehicles and saying, I've legally repossessed your car just because it's now connected to my tow truck.
So would you feel better if we added like a friendly amendment saying, once the vehicle identification number has been verified,
Oh, absolutely.
then
Yeah, I
then
think that would,
the definition
that
of
would
a repo
strengthen
would
this
be?
language.
Okay.
And just not give a tow truck driver carte blanche to say,
Then I agree
got
with
your
that.
car.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, yes.
I agree with that. Yes, sir.
Hold on just 1 minute. Senator Hodges had a question. Let me, we get back to both of you.
Representative Newt.
Yes, sir.
I've not read the law, but this is not the only part of the law that deals
is-
with foreclosure, right? All
That
this
is
deals
correct.
with is the personal property in the car.
Correct.
So there may be,
Right.
Senator, there may be something already in the law to address what you're talking about. I just haven't read it all.
And there are other aspects of the law, except once a car is on the hook, that car's gone.
I get that,
This one-
but am I
this
right
code
that this
section-
just
Yes,
deals, basically all you're dealing with is what I leave in my car?
Yes, sir.
that After you repo it,
And then-
what my rights are?
And then the code section that is defining what the completion of a repossession is.
Is
So it's
that-
two different code sections. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is.
So is the code section that's defining what a repossession is that the only law about that?
No, sir. I don't have the whole code section with me.
So the definition of a lawful repossession may be more than this. I just haven't read it, so I
Thank
don't
you.
know.
I appreciate that.
So an amendment might not
Be
be
necessary.
necessary.
Personal property.
There are good actors really on both sides of this.
Let me ask legal counsel.
Yeah.
Have you got any thought on that, Josh? Anything?
I can go through the code section and see what we can find.
Okay.
We have good actors at good used
You got a-
dealers and new
you
car
got something on
dealers. Then you have bad actors. Then you have good actors at a good repo.
I'm sorry.
That's what we're trying to.
You want to go around there to number
Mr. Chairman,
3?
Bad actors.
question, since this is only dealing with personal property, could you not insert into this the VIN number, which is what we're operating off of, and clarify that the tow truck driver would have to verify that serial number?
Yes,
And that
we can.
protects the personal property issue as well. I think that
Yes.
as an amendment, that would be possible. Will that,
To the amendment first, I think the amendment would work. I don't see a problem with that. And as for the lawful repossession part of it, the way the code section in general is structured is on the assumption that the repossession is awful, or lawful rather. And if, for example, to your situation for maybe not mistake, but a shady tow truck driver, that more would be unlawful in the sense that it's more of a theft or something like that. So inherently, there's not a lawful repossession when sort of there is an intent behind it to go around the law. So I think while the amendment does work and is fine, I'm not entirely sure if it's necessary, but also as a legislative drafter, clarity is always better.
yeah.
Okay, here's the posture we're in right now then. Let's get a motion if we're going to pass the bill, and then we'll deal with the amendments, and then we'll come back to the bill. So where are you all on the bill right now? We have a motion to do pass on the bill anywhere? All right, we got a motion to do pass in a second, so we're okay on the bill. Now we're going to talk about your amendment.
To capture not only that instance, but another instance, if you can actually think of it, on line 29, where it says, "For purposes of this code section, comma, after the comma, there shall be a rebuttable presumption that a lawful repossession shall be completed when?" In the event that someone does do shady on either side, but there's a presumption that it's lawful, but it could be rebutted rather than.
All right, go back to your original amendment with the
My
words.
original amendment is, right after the comma on line 29, there shall be a rebuttable presumption that.
So your amendment is there shall be a rebuttable assumption that,
Presumption
that. Legal, y'all got, everybody got that?
Got it.
Everybody got that? Representative, you,
Oh, yes.
Got it. And then also as well, added to that amendment, can I make the conforming change in the title language?
say it one more time?
In addition to, for that language, assuming this passed, could I add the conforming title language change, just to make sure it gets in the title of the bill?
You'll add the title language with the amendment?
Yes, the conforming title language with the amendment, which will be probably somewhere around line 4, after repossession of a motor vehicle, add to provide for a rebuttable presumption to match the language that will be added.
But it'll be attached to his amendment.
Yes.
Everybody okay, good with that? Everybody good with that? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to do pass. We have a motion, Senator Mangum's amendment. As amended, that's right. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, have none. Who you want to carry this for? You can get your amendment.
Well, we were talking briefly to Senator Bearden, but if there was someone else that would like to carry it, I would be honored if someone would consider it.
Senator Bearden's a great choice. I mean, just, whatever. Yeah, Lone Star.
Yes.
Senator Jones and Senator Hartman made the motion. Pardon? Yes. Read it. No,
I'm good? Okay.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Sorry
sir.
it took a little while.
Thank you.
No,
No,
thank you.
no, we
Thank
want it
you.
right. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you. All right. Is there a Representative Todd Jones in the audience? You're the man of the hour. You brought us the most simplest bill known to man.
It's 40 pages of love, sir.
40 pages of love. My God, you brought your entourage with you too, didn't you?
I did.
We're gonna have to have a little, understanding here, and just let the public know this is a hearing only today, and we're gonna try to learn a little bit about stablecoin, which we probably, I'm sure we're all, know all about it. You know how it is. So anyway, so we're gonna turn this over to you, Representative, and you just tell us about stablecoin.
All right, well, first of all, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you so much for your time this morning. First and foremost, before I move, if it's okay, I'd like to introduce who's with me. Is that
Absolutely.
okay, Mr. Chairman? All right, so to my left is Tony Irwin, and he's with the Stablecoin Institute. To my very far right is Luther Madej, and he's with the Stablecoin Institute. And to my immediate right is Daman Prasano, and he is with the FinTech Accord and Stablecoin Institute.
Where is that institute located at?
I'll go ahead and let Mr. Prasano speak about that.
Right here in Atlanta. So the Stablecoin Institute is a subsidiary of the FinTech Accord that represents the payments and fintech industry for the most recognized brands around the world. But notably, if you're not familiar, this is Transaction Alley, and it's the highest concentration of payments and fintech companies anywhere, and this bill is going to help support that.
So
That's
if
good.
if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll get going. First and foremost, I do have some prepared remarks. I wish I could just synthesize this down to 2 minutes. You can't. That would frankly be disrespectful to the committee and be disrespectful to the bill and what we're trying to do. Let me first say right up front, stablecoin is not Bitcoin. Okay, it is not speculative at all. And it is also runs on a public blockchain, not a private blockchain, to the point where even the CEO and chairman of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, has publicly stated his support on the public blockchain and specifically cross-border payments that stablecoin will bring. So, Mr. Chairman Summers, members of the committee, our state has long been the heartbeat of global commerce. We are the proud home of Transaction Alley. As Mr. Brasano just said, where over 75% of all U.S. card transactions are processed right here in our backyard. We didn't earn this title by accident. We earned it through bold, forward-thinking policy. We consistently hear that we are the #1 state to do business. But as the fifth industrial revolution is upon us, we must turn our sights to being the most innovative state in the union to do and transact business. Years ago, this body established the Merchant Acquirer Limited Proposed Bank Charter. At that time, it was a novel concept. Today, it is the reason why global processing giants have anchored significant operations and thousands of high-paying jobs in Georgia, to the effect of around 55,000 jobs averaging over $100,000 a year. We gave them the regulatory certainty that they needed to innovate, and in return, they made Georgia the payments capital of the world. I want to be clear, stablecoin is not here to replace processing. Stablecoin is here to basically provide another arrow in the quiver, but definitely not to replace. So what is the future of money? The bill before you, the Georgia Payment Stablecoin Act, is our line in the sand. It is our chance to proclaim to the country and the world that Georgia intends to maintain its position in the fintech space. It ensures that the next generation of financial technology doesn't pass through Georgia, but is built and regulated here. To put a finer point on that, we have the opportunity to be the very first state to officially launch stablecoin as basically an issuance based on the Federal Genius Act that passed in July of 2025. So what does the bill do? This legislation is designed to be a state-level companion to the Federal Genius Act, ensuring our laws are substantially similar to the national standards while empowering our own Department of Banking and Finance, who are in support of this bill. Before I dive into the bill, let's be sure we have a clear understanding of stablecoin. I understand that there is not across this entire body, and frankly across the entire state, there is not a high stablecoin IQ. So let's go ahead and talk about what they are. Stablecoins offer advantages for cross-border payments, for instance, from here to the EU, from here to Canada, from here to Mexico, from here to Singapore, including faster transaction times, often settling in minutes rather than days, and lower fees due to fewer intermediaries. They also provide greater transparency and security as transactions are recorded on public blockchains. And I want to stress public blockchains, not private blockchains like you see with Bitcoin, making them traceable and auditable. Now, it is the gold standard in consumer protection. Think about this just for 1 second. It is effectively a digital dollar. That's what it is. So instead of carrying it in your pocket, that's what it is. It is the gold standard. It requires every licensed issuer to maintain an identifiable reserve of 1-to-1 against the dollar or short-term treasuries being defined as less than 1/4. I'll say that one more time. Every stablecoin issue shall be backed by at least $1 or the equivalent in a short-term treasury. This must be held in trust for the benefit of the holder, ensuring that Georgia's digital dollar is always backed by safe, liquid assets like U.S. currency or obviously one of our T-bills. Regulatory clarity. It provides a clear framework for licensing, examination, and supervision. We are moving stablecoins out of the Wild West. Some of you may have Googled that, stablecoins, before you came in here today, or maybe last night when you saw it hit the agenda and you saw there's stablecoins out there. Well, there are. And they're out in the Wild West, and the Genius Act, and along with what the states are going to be doing, are bringing it to a point where we can get consumers protected. In terms of what else it does, it's just as the charter did for the fintech industry. It brought some of the world's most recognized payment companies to Georgia. This act will signal to the global fintech community that Georgia is the premier jurisdiction for the future of digital finance. Frankly, members of the committee, I don't want to go from 1st to 20th. I don't have an interest in doing that. I don't think neither any of you. It does maintain rigorous anti-money laundering provisions along with economic sanctions and compliance, making it clear that while we welcome innovation, we have zero tolerance for illicit activity. So the net is this: we have a choice. We can wait for other states to set the rules and then try to catch up, or we can lead. By passing the Georgia Payment Stablecoin Act, we aren't just passing a bill, we are claiming our seat at the head of the table for the next 50 years of financial innovation. Let's keep the alley in Georgia. Let's make sure that when the world asks for the future of money, the money is being written here in Georgia, and the answer remains, the great state of Georgia is a great place to do business, but it's an even better place to innovate. With that stated, I would like to add one additional comment. The bill goes through in almost laborious fashion the way that the Department of Banking would effectively mark to market every month. So if you're marking to market and you've marked to market exactly how you should be, you're good to go. Rock and roll. If for some reason your mark to market comes short, they have the ability to either take over, which we hope that isn't going to be the case, or you have the opportunity as an issuer to increase your reserves so you can go back to that 1-to-1 ratio. At all times, it has to be 1-to-1, and that mark to market is done on a every 30 days basis. Again, giving more and more confidence to our consumers and also giving confidence that we believe in innovation but not illicit activity. So with that stated, Mr. Chairman, we'll stand for questions.
All right, a couple of questions, and I'll turn it over to committee, just making sure. Is there a way that stablecoin allows the holder to actually gain or make money, or is it always that way?
So I'm going to let my call of friends answer it with a little more specificity. But what I like about the Federal Genius Act, sir, is it does not allow issuers to pay any yield. The intent was not to create competition to banking, not create competition to our credit unions, et cetera. So an issuer shall not provide any yield to anyone that they basically issue the stable coins to. I don't know, does anyone have anything?
That's correct. This is Luther Madej. As Representative Todd Jones mentioned, there's no yield component to it at all, so it doesn't make money at all. The idea is for it to be a representation of a dollar in the same way that a dollar that you would hold in your pocket.
Just not touchable, just digital.
That is correct. It's a digital representation of the dollar.
Right. Questions from the committee? All right. You started off on number 11, 10.
Representative Jones for bringing this. Question, is a public blockchain, am I assume that since it is public versus private, is that information, how is that available? Or can anybody look at that to track what's happening from that standpoint? And as I understand, blockchain is a very, very secure way of recording transactions. But who, if you will, can see those transactions, I guess is my
I'll give the
question.
general answer, and then I want to yield to the
Okay.
gentleman to my left. The general answer, sir, is this, is though it implies, public implies that they're going to see, Senator Harbin, that you moved $1,000 of stable coin from yourself to, say, Senator Hodges. In fact, it's not that level of public, sir. It is secure, but not to that level, and I'll yield to the person to my left.
Yeah, hi, Senator Harbin. So with it being a public blockchain, all the transactions that are carried out on that blockchain are being monitored by a large number of companies. There's Amber Data, Statista, Chainalysis, Centaur, I could name several more. But there's a lot of companies out there that are actually monitoring all the transactions. And, you know, the state can use that data to continue to monitor all the transactions. And, you know, along with it being a public blockchain, you know, the companies are required to go through all the AML, KYC, same things that a financial institution has to do. The issuer has to carry that through. So with it being on a public blockchain and being monitored by a large number of companies, you know, I know the blockchain industry very well. The last place I would want to try to commit a financial crime right now would be on a public blockchain.
Question, how does this replace an ACH or wire transfer, things of that nature that have been used in the past to transfer money back and forth? How does this benefit? And then my second question, you can answer at the same time, is how does the stablecoin make money? This is a one-to-one transfer. There's some type of fee because you're not doing it because of no reason, but how does the revenue get generated for the stablecoin transfer of funds?
I'll do the initial answer, and then again, I'm going to let my colleagues go ahead and put a finer point onto it. I think one of the keys here is we are reducing the number of intermediaries, may it be through the ACH, which of course is the clearinghouse, or through the wire. An example I can give you is I wire on a very typical basis, I wire to the EU. I know if I let it go on Friday, the good chances are it's not going to get there till Tuesday. Right. Same thing if I move it over to Asia. This is one of those, Senator Harbin, that I could literally move at 3 o'clock today, and it'll be in the EU. Well, we'll lose we'll gain 5 or 6 hours, but using our timeline, it'll be there literally at 3:05 or 3:10. So we have fewer intermediaries, lower costs, greater security. So in my mind, that's why I believe, and if you look at Mr. Diamond's comments out of J.P. Morgan, that's one of the main reasons why J.P. Morgan is looking at this so much, is because of the lower costs in intermediaries. In terms of how they make money, I know the 5 or 6 ways that they do, but I'd rather let the guys here who actually do it for a living as opposed to me just reading a book and staying at a Holiday Inn Express. Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you, Representative Jones. So think about this as a next generation of money, right? So there's the reason that, especially from a B2B and a B2G perspective, why this is really taken hold is it's safer, it's more secure, it's got better visibility, and to the point that Representative Jones was making, it's instant. There is not that, even with an ACH that feels instant to us because, you know, it goes from one bank account to another. If you're sending it at 2 o'clock on a Friday, you're not getting it until a Monday. So I'll let.
Yeah, just to add to that, right? What feels instant to us, like a Zelle or something like that, it happens right away. The actual settlement of those funds is not instant on the back end, right? And if you're doing it from one country to the other, it usually goes through a bunch of correspondent banks. So there's transactions that are moving from one bank to the other. And so that takes a lot of time, and that actually involves a lot of cost because each bank is adding a little bit to that transaction. In this case, stablecoins do make it a lot simpler because, as Representative Jones mentioned, it is instant from that perspective, and then there's less intermediaries. So that's the ACH side of it. How does it compare to ACH side of it? The second question that you asked, Senator Harbin, is how do they make money? The money aspect really is that the stablecoin issuers themselves are holding reserves, and some of those reserves could be actual dollars, they could be T-bills, which do generate yield. Again, they cannot pay that yield, as I was talking to the chairman here. That yield is not paid to the person holding it, but the issuers of the stablecoin could leverage that yield for themselves.
One last question, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
We got
Okay.
another meeting.
Okay. Is exchange rates. How do y'all deal with exchange rates across if I'm going from one country to another country is my next question.
You want to take that? You want, go ahead.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
The short answer is that exchange rates are determined the same way that a U.S. dollar and a EU or euro is determined. That the only difference is that because this is a representation of a dollar, it doesn't change that perspective. So USD to euro, if it's 1.17 USD to euro, it's still going to be 1.17 USDC or whatever this digital dollar is to the euro.
Okay, we have another committee right behind us, but Representative Jones, you can steal a Bitcoin. They talk about have to have 3 keys. You had to have all the keys to keep from losing your Bitcoins and all the cryptocurrencies out there. I mean, make sure I understand this and follow up on Senator Harper's question. If it's a digital currency, stablecoin dollar to dollar, is it stealable?
So it's the same principle applies, that it's held in a digital wallet, and so the holder of the digital wallet has to keep control of their keys. So it's the same principle for any, cryptocurrency or digital asset. So protecting the keys, and the good news is in institutional money and businesses, they typically use what's an institutional grade digital wallet where you have multiple custodians of the keys, so that multiple people have to hold a piece of that key before the money can be released. So there's many safety mechanisms built in, but someone that's loosely, allows their key to be, out on the internet, it's the same thing. It's the same analogy of putting your information on your personal bank account out. You just shouldn't. People that hold the cryptocurrency should know to not allow their key to be public.
I'd like to put a finer point on that, Chairman Summers. Though this bill doesn't address that, this bill just addresses the issuance of it. I would suggest that given the public blockchain manner of this, given the fact that the issuers are regulated by our Department of Banking, it is nowhere near as, I'll say, nefarious and blind as, I'll say, traditional crypto like Bitcoin is. The second thing I would say is I don't want to say more because I don't want to hurt anyone. Any digital wallet that you're using right now or any digital payment, maybe Zelle, PayPal, Venmo, Apple Cash, whatever it may be, I'd like to think that all of us maintain our biometrics, because I'm assuming most of you use your biometrics to release that money, but it's going to be the exact same thing. So we're not talking about putting some overt, greater, shield of privacy over it, but rather what you have been traditionally doing with your current, I'll say, wallets. In this case, though, what we're doing is we're transitioning the dollar to have the capability to be a true digital dollar and give literally every Georgian a confidence that there's a dollar sitting right behind it or a T-bill right behind it. I mean, it's about as secure as you're going to get because the bill goes through. The issuer, in no way, shape, or form, the banking will confirm this every 30 days when they do mark-to-market, they cannot pledge those assets. Whereas a financial institution can pledge assets. As you know, you give $1,000 and suddenly 900 of it is out on a loan. And God bless them, that's their business model. That is not the business model of the people who are issuing. They may not pledge or may not leverage that money.
Or commingle.
Or commingle, thank you.
Last
I
question,
knew there was a
Senator
verb I
Hodges.
was forgetting.
Thank you, Representative Jones. Very quickly, the difference between a public blockchain and a private blockchain is the public is regulated and the private is not. Is that the only difference?
I think there's more to it, but I think at the end of the day, the public blockchain should give you massive confidence in the stablecoin and its ability to give everyone confidence in Georgia that when someone says, I'm going to pay you in 1,000 stablecoins, you're like, okay, fine. In other words, you don't even hesitate. Whereas right now, if I told you I was going to send you $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, some people might say, oh, that's fine. Other people will almost look at me as if I was asking them to, accept, I'll just say, nefarious being. So I think at the end of the day, I think the difference, Senator Hodges, is this between private and public really just comes down to confidence. And our Department of Banking, the Genius Act of the Feds, and what we're doing is giving everyone confidence that when I owe you $1,000 and I send you 1,000 stable coins, you just kind of shrug and just move on with your day.
And my last question was this legislation was drafted in conjunction with the Department of Banking?
in conjunction with the Department of Banking and also with folks up in DC. We've been told, and though this is just, I'll say just, cursory, but at the end of the day, we've been told that our bill, compared to other bills that are right now running through other state general assemblies, is the most tied to the federal bill federal law as any other bill. And we did that consciously because we wanted to make sure that they had created the horizontal framework. We wanted to lock in, but we want to be first. We don't want any state to get in front of us.
And I'll just add to that just quickly. We were with Department of Treasury last week, and this bill, we said it once 100 times, substantially similar to the Federal Genius Act, and we got strong support by the rule makers of the Genius Act when meeting with them with Treasury. So we felt good about that.
Here's the posture we're in, Representative Jones. We will put you back on the agenda. I can't tell you, Dave, I'll let you know in a couple of days. But I'd like for any of the members that have any questions, for you to make yourself available. If anybody has any questions, if you all will, get Representative Jones and any of these questions that you may have, and let's just see where we're at on this thing, and then we'll be able to move you. How about that?
I sure do appreciate that, Chairman Summers, and thank you to you and the members of the committee.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're running late. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming.